morning, Shakita.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in today. As I mentioned over the phone, today's session is mostly just going to be taking an assessment so that I have a chance to understand more about you and your background and your family, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just going to go through a series of questions, and if you could just answer as honestly as you can.
Okay.
So just to make sure I have the spelling of your name right, can you spell your first and last name for me?
Chiquiuita Davis.
Davis.
Yes.
And what is your current address?
5858 West Deer Park.
Deer Park?
DEER Boulevard.
Okay. And the city and state and zip code?
New Orleans, Louisiana. 70127.
Okay. What's a good phone number to reach you on?
504-222-3333.
And your date of birth?
4271.
And what is your marital or relationship status?
Single.
Okay. And your ethnicity?
Black.
And what's the primary language that you speak?
English.
Any secondary languages?
No.
And who was it that referred you here today?
My mental health doctor.
And what is their name?
Dr. Kim Wynn.
Do you know their phone number?
254-3600.
And who would be a good emergency contact for you?
Chandra Green. And her number is 601-237-6666.
And what's her relationship to
My
you?
sister.
Sister, okay. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about your family. Do you have any children?
One.
One child. What's their name?
His name is Chase Davis.
Chase Davis. How old is Chase?
He is 13.
And his date of birth?
4/27/2006.
And do you have custody of Chase?
Yes, I do.
And who does he live with?
With me.
Okay. And who else lives in the household with you? Any spouses, partners, siblings,
That's it.
parents? Just you and Chase? Okay.
Yes.
And what's the primary language you speak at home?
English.
Any secondary languages in the home?
No.
So next is just family history. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your family, and if you could let me know if this applies to your mother, your father, your siblings, any aunts, uncles, or grandparents.
Okay.
So any history of alcohol or substance abuse?
No.
Any history of completed suicide?
No.
Any history of depression?
No.
Schizophrenia?
No.
Bipolar disorder?
Yes, a little bit.
And who was that?
My uncle.
Alzheimer's?
My grandfather.
Anxiety?
No.
Attention deficit disorder or hyperactivity?
My son.
Learning disorders?
No.
Any school behavior problems?
My son.
Incarceration?
No.
Any other family history Issues that I should know about?
No.
And then in terms of government funding, do you receive any food stamps or SSI or disability, any Medicaid?
Child support, that's it.
Child support? Any retirement income?
No.
In terms of your home, are you currently homeless?
No.
Staying or living in a shelter?
No.
Any kind of long-term care that you are eligible for or
No.
using? Okay. Physical disabilities?
None.
Mental disabilities?
No.
Any developmental disabilities?
No.
Any interactions with the Regional Behavioral Health Authority?
No.
Okay. And then in terms of legal involvement, any involvement with protective services or court-ordered services?
No, ma'am.
Probation, parole, pre-release, or monitoring? Okay. Are you currently pregnant?
No.
And do you have any other caseworkers that you are currently working with?
No.
And what would you say is your primary reason for coming to see me today?
Well,
You or your family?
just probably some counseling. I just lost two significant people in my life.
Can you share more about the relationship that you had with them?
That was my mother's other older brother and his wife.
And how long ago was the loss?
This year, my aunt died March 21st. And then my uncle died July 5th.
And how would you say it's been impacting you?
It's really hard because that was like my mom and my dad. Because my mother has been dead for 18 years.
So you said looking for some counseling, some assistance coping with the loss?
Yeah.
Is that right? And what would you say is your expected outcome from the counseling?
Just so my mind could be at ease. Different, I don't know, just get my mind together as far as with the loss of my family members. It's like I don't have any rock to lean on or something like that.
Okay, so it sounds like looking for some support, some ease of mind. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to share about the loss or how you've been doing right now? Okay. And we'll get more into that in some of our sessions later, but I just wanted to get a sense of your biggest concerns right now.
Right.
So in terms of how you're doing physically right now, do you have any allergies?
None.
None?
No.
Any medication that you're taking right now?
No.
What current medical conditions do you have?
Really, I just take blood pressure medicine, and that's it.
And that's for high blood pressure?
Yes.
Okay. Any vitamins or
I
over-the-counter?
take vitamin C. You can put a multivitamin, you know.
Multivitamin, okay. Any herbs?
No.
What past medications have you had?
None really. I just had those.
And in terms of your past medical history, Could you share some about any hospitalizations or residential treatments that you've gone through?
I had surgery years ago, but it's nothing that I had, nothing like current or even a couple of years or nothing. It's been years since I had surgery.
Okay, what was the surgery for a few years ago?
Um, mm, I don't know. I had a breast reduction years ago.
Do you know approximately what date that was?
Another year,
Okay, what was the year?
like 1992.
1992. And then have you had any inpatient or outpatient treatment or been in any group homes, done
No.
foster care,
No,
aftercare, or
No.
any inpatient psychiatric care?
no,
Have you ever done outpatient counseling?
no. This will be my first
This
time.
is your first? Okay. And are you in any pain right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay. In terms of nutrition, do you know what your current weight and height is?
Yeah, but I don't want to tell you.
Just an approximation, or just the
like
last time?
230,
230.
5'9". I don't know my BMI.
How would you describe your appetite?
Good.
Good? Okay. Recently, have you experienced any significant weight gain or loss?
Gain.
Gain, okay. Can you explain more about that?
Just being stressed out. I guess eating under stress. Or just eating the wrong things, probably.
Any special dietary needs that you have?
No.
Food allergies?
No.
Have you ever hid or hoarded food?
No.
Would you say that you binge to excess?
I don't know. Like I said, eating the wrong things, because I only eat maybe twice a day, so.
And how would you describe the wrong things?
Chips, fries, that kind of thing. All the wrong carbs.
Okay. In terms of your social circle and your network, how would you rate on a scale from 1 to 5 your network with your immediate family?
I'll say 5.
What about friends?
5.
Your work community?
5.
Do you participate in any religious community?
I haven't been to church in a long time. Since my uncle and my aunt died, probably.
Okay.
It's been some months. I ain't been to church since September, maybe. And I normally go to church every Sunday.
Every Sunday? You used to go every Sunday? And you said since your aunt and uncle passed away, you have not been?
Like September, I stopped.
Since September. And before you stopped going, how would you say your relationships were with that
My church?
community?
5.
Okay. Extended family?
Ain't too good.
Not too good?
Extended family meaning?
Like your aunts and uncles, grandparents,
No,
cousins?
I haven't been talking to nobody.
Haven't been talking to anybody? Okay. And how long has that been going on?
Oh, God. Since my uncle died in July, probably. I know I haven't talked to him since July.
Okay.
It's true story.
Any school community that you have right now? How would you rate your 5? Okay. And what about just the general community, your neighbors?
5.
Any other social networks that you're a part of?
No.
With your living situation, how would you describe your housing?
I own my home.
And do you feel comfortable there?
Yes.
Would you say that you struggle with any crowding or danger?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
Have you ever been incarcerated?
Never.
And have you ever felt risk of homelessness?
No.
So for your employment, are you currently employed?
Yes.
Who is your employer?
Um, the VOA.
VOA. And what does that stand for?
Volunteer Living
How long have you been working with them?
About 4 months.
Are you satisfied with the job?
Yes.
Any conflicts with your supervisor or coworkers?
No.
And who was your last employer before the Volunteers of America?
Was I employed by? The Advocate newspaper.
And what was the reason that you left that job?
Because of my aunt's death.
Would you say that the death impacted your ability to work and function?
No, it didn't. Just because of the length of time I had to take off, and at that same time I had my foot had got infected, so I had to stay out of work for a little while, and when it was time for me to go back, they just fired me.
Okay. And when did that happen?
I got fired in April, but my aunt died like March 23rd.
Okay.
And
So
then
this
my
was
foot
soon
got
after.
infected, and yeah.
And how is your foot doing now?
Oh, it's great. It's fine. I had what's the name of that? Cellulitis in my foot.
Cellulitis. Okay.
Mm.
And you would say it's recovered now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. In terms of your financial situation, do you ever spend money impulsively?
Yeah.
And do you have current financial difficulty?
Yeah.
Would you say you have a large debt?
No.
No. Poverty line or below?
You could say.
Have you had conflict in your relationships over money?
No.
Any other comments about financial situation?
No.
Okay. In terms of your income, you said you're full-time employed?
Yes.
Have you ever been enlisted in the armed forces?
No.
And how would you describe your sexual orientation?
I'm heterosexual.
How would you describe your family relationships and desire for involvement in this treatment process?
I mean, they don't have to know about this. I mean, I talk with my family about the situation. And the family I talk to is my aunt's daughters and my uncle's daughter.
So those are your cousins?
Yeah. We
Okay.
grew up like sisters.
And would you say that your family would be supportive of your treatment?
Yes.
If you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, how supportive would you say?
5.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested?
Never.
In jail?
Never.
Participated in a gang?
Never.
Been convicted of a crime?
No.
Been on probation?
No.
Have you ever had a DUI or a DWI?
No.
Ever been in detention?
No.
Any other past or current legal problems?
No, ma'am.
And then have you ever had court order treatment?
No.
Next is just a few questions about your education. What was the highest level of schooling that you completed?
4-year college.
And what was your focus area?
Children and families.
Your major?
Social work.
And what school did you attend?
Southern University.
Okay. In terms of leisure activity, what do you like to do for leisure and recreation?
Nothing much.
Would you say you like to spend time with friends?
Yes.
Take any classes?
Mm.
Spend time with your family?
That's not fun.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? I missed it.
Taking classes is not fun, but I do it.
Okay, so that's not a leisure activity.
No.
What about spending time with your family?
Yes.
Going out to the clubs or bars downtown?
Sometimes.
Listening to music?
All the time.
Going to the casino?
I do that too.
Any sports or exercise?
My son basketball.
Dancing?
I love it.
Watching movies or TV?
A little bit.
Just relaxing and staying at home?
Yes.
Any hobbies?
No, I don't have any that I can think of right now.
Okay. Anything else in terms of recreation?
No, ma'am.
What would you say limits your leisure or recreation activities?
Nothing.
Do you feel that you're able to take care of yourself?
Yes.
Do you have any hearing aids or glasses?
No.
Do you use,
I do wear glasses, I'm sorry.
You wear glasses? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Do you ever use a cane or a walker or crutches?
No.
Ever, do you need a wheelchair?
No.
Any need for a translator?
No.
And do you have a history of falls?
No.
So the next section is about your psychological assessment. Would you say that you have a history of a depressed mood?
Say what?
Would you say you have a history of a depressed mood?
Not really. I'm not really a depressed person.
What about in terms of any irritability, anger, or violence?
No. Only if you have to really make me mad. No.
And what would happen when you really get mad?
I just holler.
Have you ever hurt anyone else or any animals?
No.
Ever destroyed property?
No.
In terms of your sleep, how many hours do you normally get a day?
Probably about 4.
Do you ever struggle getting to sleep?
No.
And would you say that you have a normal sleeping pattern or sleeping too much or too little? Sleeping too much, too little?
Too little.
Too little. What about your ability to concentrate?
I can concentrate.
How's your energy level?
Right now I'm tired, but normally it's good.
Okay. Do you ever have any history of post-traumatic stress disorder?
No.
I know you mentioned earlier that you had 2 recent losses of your uncle and your aunt. Have there been any other significant losses or deaths or traumatic incidents?
No.
terms of your spiritual or cultural practices, do you practice any spirituality or traditions or religion?
No.
How would you describe your spirituality?
I'm 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 spiritually grounded.
And do you see a traditional healer?
No.
Have you had any history of neglect in terms of nutrition, medical, educational, emotional, or any exploitation?
No.
Have you ever been abused in the past or currently by a family member
No.
or significant other or anyone else?
No.
Any times that you've been threatened or made to feel afraid, pushed or shoved, kicked, hit, strangled?
No.
Have you ever been forced or coerced into sexual activity?
No.
Okay. Have you ever witnessed abuse or family violence?
No. No.
And then in terms of your drug and alcohol intake, what was the first time that you used alcohol?
Oh God, I probably was like 19.
Okay, and what would you say was your age when you used alcohol the most?
Maybe 2014 or something like that.
And in terms of your recent use of alcohol, how often or how much do you drink?
I might drink a glass of wine a day.
And when's the last time that you had a glass of wine or used alcohol?
Last night.
What about marijuana or any cannabis products?
No.
Never used?
Never.
Cocaine?
Never.
Any stimulants like speed or crystal or amphetamines?
No.
What about methamphetamine? Have you ever used methamphetamine?
No.
Ever done inhalants such as gas, paint, or glue?
No.
Hallucinogens like LSD or mushrooms?
No.
PCP?
No, ma'am.
Any opioid use, heroin, narcotics, or methadone?
No.
Any sedatives such as Valium or phenobarb?
Excuse me.
No problem. Any designer drugs like steroids or using
No,
cough
ma'am.
syrup? Do you smoke cigarettes or
I
tobacco?
do.
And what was the age you first smoked?
35.
And what age would you say was the heaviest that you've used tobacco?
I would say 2019, I guess.
And what's the frequency and amount that you use tobacco?
That I would use tobacco. Probably a pack will last me 2 days.
Pack every 2 days?
Mhm.
Okay. And when's the last time that you had a cigarette?
How long you say it again?
When's the last time that you smoked a cigarette or used tobacco?
Oh, I smoked a cigarette not long ago. About
Today?
20 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
About 20 minutes.
Have you ever injected drugs?
No.
And do you use caffeine?
When I drink a Coke or coffee.
Coke or coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what age would you say you first had caffeine?
Oh my gosh. A long time ago. Probably 40-something years ago.
40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So what age would you have been?
About 8.
8. And what was the age that you were the heaviest in terms of your caffeine use?
Oh, probably 2018.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, how often and how much caffeine do you use? Like a coffee a day, a Coke a day?
Yeah.
And when's the last time you had a coffee or a Coke or any caffeine?
Today?
Today? Okay. What would you say your drug of choice is?
None.
In terms of your alcohol or drug use, have you ever had a hangover? Yes.
Yeah.
Ever overdosed?
No.
Ever had any sleep problems from the alcohol or drug use?
No.
Have you ever lost a job or been incarcerated as a
No.
result of it? Ever had the DTs or the shakes? Any seizures from alcohol?
No.
Any blackouts? No. GI bleeding? Have you ever had relationship problems from alcohol use?
No.
Any assaults or binges or arrests or leaving school?
No.
Have you ever had liver disease?
No.
What would you say is your longest period of sobriety? Have you ever tried to be sober? No. Okay. Anything that triggers you to use alcohol?
No, what
Have you ever traded sex for drugs?
no.
Have you been tested for HIV?
Yes.
What?
Last this month.
This past
November.
month? Okay. And what were the results? Have you gotten the results yet?
Negative.
Negative? Okay. Have you ever had gambling problems?
I think I do.
You think you do? Would you say that you gamble longer than you plan? Would you say you've lost sleep thinking of gambling?
No.
Have you ever borrowed money to gamble?
No.
Have you ever been remorseful or regretful after gambling?
Yes.
Have you ever gambled until the last dollar was gone?
No.
No. Have you ever used your incomes or savings to gamble while you've let your bills go unpaid?
No.
Have you ever tried unsuccessfully to stop gambling?
Yes.
Have you broken the law or considered breaking the law to finance gambling?
No.
And have you ever gambled to get money to meet your financial obligations or pay the bills? No? Okay. Would you say that in terms of any behavior, impulsive behavior, having unprotected sex in the past or currently?
In the past.
In the past. Have you been involved with a gang?
Say it one more time.
Have you been involved with a gang?
No.
Shoplifted?
No.
Have you dealt drugs?
No.
Any reckless driving?
None.
And do you carry or use any weapons? Okay.
I know.
I think we're close to the end here. Do you have any weapons or handguns in your home?
No.
And would you say, in terms of physical activity, how often do you walk for pleasure?
Don't.
No walking for pleasure. Would you say that you avoid walking? Like if you had to,
No, I walk.
you walk just to get from point A to point B, but not for pleasure. Any other regular exercise that you do, like sports or golf, gymnastics?
No.
If you were to say, in terms of your physical activity per week, how many minutes per week do you do physical activity?
All day, every day.
All day, every day physical activity?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say it's moderate or heavy?
Moderate.
Moderate physical activity? And what kind of activity do you do?
What kind of activity I do? Not that much.
Just mostly walking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that is the end of the assessment. Is there anything else that you'd like to share today?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, any questions you have?
No.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm going to be getting back to you shortly with a treatment plan, and we'll be reaching out to schedule your next appointment soon.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah,